Welcome to Gail's Garden Herbs and More. Look how big that blossom is. Isn't that just absolutely gorgeous? That's a hibiscus, but it sure is pretty, isn't it? You know, I say welcome to Gail's Garden Herbs and More. I used to have a huge garden in Kentucky. I mean, it was huge. And then in California, down in the valley, it was pretty good size. It wasn't huge, but I mean, it was definitely a garden outside my yard. But now my yard is my garden. Things are just getting smaller and smaller, but it's just me now. I don't need a whole lot. But there's still things I want to share with you. Maybe for a while. I have to go back and forth as to whether I want to keep on. But anyway, we'll just see what happens. Sometimes you have to take a little of nothing and make something out of it when you don't have a lot. I did have a cattle panel, had a couple cattle panels that I brought with me. So that's some pieces of rebarb down here. Well, it's not really rebarb. I don't know what that is. It's got little holes in it. It looks like rebarb, but maybe it's a type of rebarb. My son pounded those down and put the cattle panel on that to make my little trellis, and then we had trimmed down a tree that was growing into the trailer, and I took the leaves off and kind of braided it while it was green to make it, something kind of pretty. You can see it here on this too that I put on the front of my cattle panel. Didn't cost me anything. That's again making something out of nothing. I've had the shade cloths, so they don't always all fit, but you can kind of roll them and move them around and make them fit the way you want. And yeah, and when there's just one person, you don't need a whole lot, but something you do need is beauty. So I try to make it pretty, but yet edible. I don't know of any other plants that could be as beautiful as these green beans and basil, and look at the pretty fern of the asparagus. All of this is edible. And the bidens, those little yellow flowers back there are called bidens. Yeah, sorry, but that's the name of them. There are certain types of medicinal things you can do with that. Right now I'm just using them to enjoy the beauty of them. They're really pretty. And this doesn't want to work for me. I was going to bring them in close. And you use things like old phones that aren't as good. When you get spoiled with a good phone, it's hard. These have really spread out. They were just a little bitty bundle when I put them in there a couple months back. I've even got a little tomato in there. Now, this is just outside my little RV trailer I'm living in. It's too hot to cook inside. I better go see. I don't want them crawling underneath. They're so little, they crawl underneath the gate and get out. Hold on. Someone in our church, long story. Anyway, the ladder was free too. That's my valerian in bloom. Everybody says, oh, valerian stinks. I don't want valerian. The flowers smell like perfume. They are awesome. It's total opposite of the roots. They just make my whole yard smell good. I'm sorry for some of the background noise, the saws and all that. They're cutting the forest down. Down the road, they just pretty much clear cut it. I didn't think they were supposed to be able to do that, but they are. And most of the morning I've been sitting out here. Now they're up close to where I'm at, watching the trees fall in the distance. Wow, let me show you. You really can't see, but there used to be a lot more trees on the other side of that big barn. And I've been watching them fall all morning, and they just shake the ground when they hit. Boom, boom, boom. Did you hear it? I didn't know if you could see it. I started hearing it fall, and I tried to get the phone up there so you could see it falling over. Anyway, these are my yellowneck squash. I've been cutting and cutting and cutting off from these. They've been doing wonderful. I mean, they're Gotta think of new ways to use them. But anyway, back to them cut, as you can hear, back to them cutting. They're mainly, it looks like they're going after the pines, which that's pines and firs, all of that. There's money in those. A lot of the others, the oaks and madrone, I guess they cut them down and clear, but I don't see them on the trucks. They're just clearing it all out. And that's where we get our oxygen, is from the forest. They've been burning them out in Canada, and up here I think they're cutting us out. Oh, I know, most of this land belongs to, like, oh, I could tell you who, but I'm not going to say. There's companies that own the land, and they've been waiting probably for the trees to get big enough to cut again. But it's really sad because, I don't know, they haven't cut in a long time, and years, and now they're cutting them all down. And every time one of those big old trees fall, my heart just, oh, it's awful, because they're beautiful, they give us oxygen. I mean, if they cut a few, I could understand. And if they were worried about the fire, they would just cut the underbrush and a few of the real volatile trees like the madrones. They might clear some of them out, but they're wanting the money, of course, you know. Anyway, so much for that. For Mother's Day, my daughter got me this big wine barrel and some dirt and stuff to put in it. Right now, what I have is okra planted. She also grew the okra from seed. I was, but my seedlings all died. What came up, the other didn't even come up. And then to keep the dirt from drying out too fast, I put some straw on the top. I may put a little bit more straw. The straw I got some time back for bedding for my chickens, but I've been using it up here in my garden too. Well, my yard, I should say. Like I said, it's Gail's Garden Herbs and More, and that's what it's been for years. I've had this channel for years. But it's just a yard now. So, down here, I don't even know what you call these. They're a small, he said they have a bluish tinge on them I bought it at the farmer's market. They'd had them in the freezer. I didn't even know if the seeds were viable, but every one of the seeds came up. I've been thinning them out. I'll have to thin some more too. Look, though, they're really doing good. He said they have a bluish hue to them, and they're small, like a small pumpkin, but they're kind of blue. I don't know what they're called or what they are, but they've been grown up kind of up in the higher altitudes. Maybe that's why, I don't know. Hopefully they'll do real good here. I don't know. We'll see. I've got stakes in the ground I've been carrying with me everywhere, and another old shade cloth I had, trying to keep them from burning up. The sun has just been, never used to be that hot when I was a kid, that it would burn our plants. We never had shade cloths, never even heard of such a thing. But now you have to have them or your plants burn up. So I think too that the metals that are up in the sky are reflecting a stronger heat, maybe a burning type of a heat. It's a different type of heat. I don't know if it's stronger, but it burns. It didn't used to burn like that. So many things are different than the way they used to be. Different world. But anyway, yeah, we had to cut this one down. The roots were growing into the septic tank, so I put a big little pot I've drug around with me, and plants in there. But there's nothing covering it from the sun. I had some pansies I'd planted in there. Looks like they've all, wow, completely died, but this one, and it's just about dead. Well, I could dig up more and maybe put straw around it. Maybe that'll help. Even where it's got some shade, the problem is it's morning shade. The afternoon sun's seems to be even stronger, so I don't know that it is. The morning's pretty strong too. This was a bigger shade cloth I had. I've got it just with every stake I could find and just stuck them in pots of ground's too hard here to stick it in the ground, and draped the shade cloth over that. So I've got a lot of things in here. This is like anise hyssop, and that's parsley down there, and one of my aloe vera is there. I'm not sure. I think that's a delicate. It's kind of small. I think that's one of my Mr. Stripeys. It's a type of a basil that's really good. That's a holy basil. There's some There's an eggplant in there, and there's different types of peppers. This is my oregano, which I've harvested pretty good. I've got trying to grow, and other stuff's coming up. I think only one Chinese skullcap in there. Most of them died, but I think 2 plants in my little pool that I had. There's dill here, more peppers, a big aloe, tomato, horehound, another type of, it's going to seed over there, is parsley. I've got a cucumber in there too, and some more valerian. And this is stevia. Most of it died, but it's starting to come back. And I've got an echinacea in there, and another black creme tomato there. More peppers. This is where are you, ladybugs? There was hundreds of them. They didn't find it. I think I'm going to pull this cabbage out and give it to the chickens. Yeah, and then behind me over here, I don't have this area covered. I have the ground covered to try to keep the weeds down some, but I've got just stuff everywhere in my yard. Yards all around here. These almost look like valerian, but they're not. This is yarrow in bloom. And when you look at them up close, it's different. But, yeah. And over here, my Chinese skullcap, it just didn't make it through the winter well. I've got 2 plants and some weeds coming up. And that's my pomegranate tree we got put in the ground. As far as the trees, all these trees are cutting down. And the price of lumber would be nice with all these trees are taken down if they would drop the price of lumber, but they won't. It's the people that already have money that's going to get the money from it and get the use from it. They'll probably ship them to China or something. I don't know where they're going to put it, but I'm sure we won't get the benefit because especially right now, it's the rich are getting richer and get rid of the middle class and just have rich and poor so they have more control. But I guess I shouldn't even be saying that, huh? I really pretty much don't care. I mean, they may get rid of me, but I'm old anyway. When they get rid of my channel, probably should do that anyway. But I don't know, those are really kind of pretty, huh? The blossoms on the basil. Isn't that pretty? That's my Jost berry plant, but I haven't got any berries yet. I've told the story about that in some of my other videos. That's quite the plant, let me tell you. It's got quite a history behind it. I got another blueberry plant in here. There's different types of green beans growing in the back. I've got stuck a beet in here. The self-heal is just gone crazy and planted by this blueberry, and this is chives in there too. The self-heal, I've never seen self-heal so healthy and crazy. I've already made teas with it and stuff. I need to make another tincture. I used the last of my self-heal tincture in another combo. I've got the little tomatoes coming on here. These are the sun golds. I don't know if you can see them. Green kind of goes in with it. Behind it is peas. I'm letting go to seed because I want the seed to it. They're beautiful colored blossoms. Some are pink and some are, it's not really red. It's more of a burgundy color with a dark and light burgundy. This is my lavender just starting to come into bloom. This rose was totally covered with blossoms earlier. It's in between blossoming now. So this has the little squash on it. They're little, can't think of the name of them right now. I've told you before. I thought this has turned out really pretty. It's a tree basil and pansies. But look at the pansies. Oh my goodness, they smell good too. They have got a light purple around the outside, very light, and then the yellow and the white. They're just gorgeous. And my daylilies have been so prolific this year. I mean, I have just gotten all kinds of daylilies. I took peas out of there, and I've got green beans coming up, lettuce and a tomato, and I've got other things. A lot of the same plants further down. Kind of doubles of them, basically. Well, I did have these cut back. They come right back. I just hate don't plant ivy. Don't plant ivy, it takes over. I had them all pulled back so I could grow cucumbers there. I need to pull them, cut them out again. I can't keep up with it all. I tell you, I just can't keep up with it all. It's crazy. But anyway, that's a yellow zucchini. I've got a couple plants of those, and that seems to be doing pretty well too. So we will catch you all next time. I hope you have a blessed week. Bye for now.